You think you know about Hollywood's golden age of movie making, but what about the ghosts lurking just off screen? I'm Bianca Lopez, and I'd like to tell you a ghost story. With our new podcast, Tinseltown Ghost Stories, you'll be learning about the people who built Los Angeles, the scandals that rocked the industry, and the broken dreams that still echo on the boulevard. Hollywood is more comfortable when its secrets stay hidden in the shadows. On Tinseltown Ghost Stories, we listen to what the dead have to say, because the darkness is so much less scary when you shine a little light on it.
Welcome to Make Your Shit, a creative empowerment podcast, now part of the Pod Frontier Podcast Network. I'm your host, Kyle F. Andrews. Each episode, I have a friendly conversation with filmmakers, actors, authors, and other creative professionals and up-and-comers about how they made and continue to make their shit. Conversations touch on all sides of the work, from the technical aspects of making a film, to the creative process of writing a script or creating a character, to the incredibly important consideration of mental health in the creative mix. All this in the hope that we can inject insight, guidance, and a little levity into your creative routine, and help bring order to a business that can feel chaotic at times. Why? So that you don't fall into the trap of waiting for someone else to tell you it's okay. Instead, we say it's okay to make your shit. If you enjoy the show, please give us a follow, share with your friends, and leave a 5-star review. It really does help. On today's show, we have actor and host Bianca Lopez. Bianca was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. Literally born in Hollywood. She started acting on stage at the age of 5. She's a first-generation Latina with roots in Nicaragua and Ecuador. Bianca's passion started in theater, and she got to explore that more deeply when she went to the Los Angeles County High School for the Arts. Then after high school, Bianca went on to study at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. Bianca transitioned to TV and film in her late teens. She burst into A-list Hollywood through her portrayal of the tormenting cheerleader Fontana in the Princess Diaries. You remember that?
Hey.
She has maintained an active acting career, worked with legends like Jane Fonda, and most recently appeared opposite Jason Segal on Apple TV Plus's show Shrinking. Bianca has maintained a grounded perspective by having her family so close in Downey, California, where she grew up. And of course, Bianca is not just an actress, she is also a mom. Bianca is the host of Tinseltown Ghost Stories, a new podcast from Pod Frontier, and it dives into the creepy, mysterious, weird, and downright terrifying stories of haunted front office and backlots of Hollywood. Bianca, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm super excited because you are one of the coolest people I've ever met.
Stop.
I'm serious. And the fact that you're doing, not just you're coming on to talk this show today, but you're doing a new podcast with us is really great.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, the minute you told me about Tinseltown, I was like, yes. And you're like, okay, let me tell you more. I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Well, I'm sure for any listener who's listening right now can hear your voice and be like, wow, she has just the perfect voice. And that's what I thought. I was like, this is exactly someone who should be telling me about scary dead people.
Thank you. Yes. Everyone needs to. I mean, look, I love a true crime podcast. And I feel like this meshes with that and gives you a little backstory into Hollywood. Because we walk through, I mean, when you live here, you go past the Pantages, you go past the Hollywood Bowl, you go past the Hollywood sign, people hike Runyon all the time. There's just so much history there that we don't know, and it's creepy, and that's really fun to know about. I mean, I love that stuff.
I mean, that's honestly a great place to start because you, unlike most people who are in Hollywood trying to make their way, you actually, you started here. You're from here.
I did.
What is it like growing up in Hollywood?
I mean, I loved it. I mean, it's changed so much, obviously, but my parents, they always wanted to be actors. My dad loves Al Pacino. He just loves him so much. And so I think that my dad was honestly living vicariously through us. So, but it was great. It was just acting was a way for us to just be more comfortable in our skin. My dad just really wanted us to be kind of outgoing and personable and all those things that first gens have to do, for their parents, please, make us proud, do all the things. So it was just really fun for my sister and I. And then, starting in theater is kind of a great place to start regardless. So I'm really happy to have that foundation because then I have to remind myself, I'm if you have done theater. You've done Shakespeare. You can do this. You can do this guest star. It's fine. Like you've got this, girl, And sometimes you need to take yourself aside and have those talks. So yeah, I loved growing up in LA. I mean, I think that it's very different than growing up anywhere else because there's just so much that you come in contact with and so much you learn. Like I was going to Melrose at like 10 and, and there was just like a casual Saturday stroll. So, there's aspects to it that are intense.
It becomes your backyard in a
Yeah,
sense,
100%, 100%. And then, going to an arts high school, that's very like interesting. And there was different arts, like visual artists and there was musical theater and music and it's just like it's a good way to like get your mind to just expand, but also like a lot. And it's funny because like growing up and being an actor and starting in theater and all the things that my parents took us to so many acting classes and all the things. I'm glad it didn't quite hit for me when I was a kid because I think I would have burnt out because I definitely had that. I had moments of that. Even in my career, and I started in my late teens.
Sure, so, there's an expectation that comes in with it.
Right, and like you're not treated, you're not an adult, but you are treated like, so you're not quite treated like a child. Like, you're definitely and people say things that are just like things you just wouldn't say to a kid, but you're working, and so there's this expectation. So I'm just really grateful that like I just didn't have like success in that really young age.
Well, as an adult, you have the hindsight to look back on. Is there anything that you're happy you learned back then that you're putting to getting forward now? Because you haven't ever stopped acting. It seems or did you stop?
No,
acting?
I totally did. I during like after American Academy, I kind of had like a bit of a pause. Like I was just like, oh, I'm 20. Like I was just like, let me be 20 for however long,
Sure, forever.
Yeah, forever. I'm still 20. No,
Same.
But no. I don't want to be 20 again. To be quite honest, I like being right now, right here. But yeah, I really kind of like took a minute. I just didn't know what I wanted to do either. Like I thought I wanted. And I still kind of pursued acting like in a very low grade sort of way, but I definitely did so many things. Like I was a telemarketer and I worked for like a radio station and I just did I had like so many jobs. I worked for Uber Corporate. I mean like I did a lot of things to kind of just kind of see what I wanted to do. And then I was like, oh no, I really like acting. No, this is something I need to get back into.
Well, that's good because I've had the opportunity to actually be in class with you and you're really a spectacular actress.
Thank you.
It's really nice to see. When you're getting into character, is there anything specific you do to find the character that you're working on?
I try to find pieces of like the character that are true for me. And if they're not, because some characters are not any part of you and you're just like, oh, wow, how do I relate to this? I tried to kind of like relate it to a person that I know and just kind of embody that a little bit and give that a little, because it's your POV, it's your take on the character. The writer has done a lot of your work for you and there's so much on the page that you can get. But I think like it's fun for me especially, to just kind of be like, where do I exist in this? And sometimes the turnaround is just so fast that you're just like, yeah, how am I going to get this to like live in my body and be like active and, not be a puppet.
You've done TV and film. Is there a big difference, a distinction in how you work on one or the other?
And it's funny. I work a lot more on TV. I feel like, they're so different in the way that like you get time with film. Like you get time to kind of be like, ooh, I get to like feel this out. And, you have just more time. And I feel like TV works really fast, which I don't mind. I kind of like that. That's more my pace. And that's why I like doing commercials too. And it's just like a quick kind of turnaround, especially like being a mom and just trying to live a full life. Like you're like, great, this is something I do. This is a part of me. It's my career, but it's not all of me, and it's not what like defines me. There's so much more that defines me as a person, I
think that's so important. A lot of, especially when people start out, they feel like their art has to be at the center of everything all the time, and that can be maddening, especially when you are also forced to compete with people. So how do you, both as an artist and as a mother, kind of keep your balance with what you're doing.
And it's funny, like that word balance. It's like, it was so triggering for me at some point. Like I was like, I'm not doing this balancing. And sometimes it's not. Like sometimes you do give more to your career than you do at your home life. And like, luckily I have an amazing partner that can really show up and be present. And we're both in the industry in different capacities, thank God. But, I think it's like, there is no real balance per se. It's just like you got to make it work for you. Like how are you able to take care of yourself and be present in both aspects, right? And sometimes, like one may slip and the other kind of like, prevails. But it's about like figuring out like not having those like big drops and those big peaks. It's like kind of keeping that even keeledness. That's what I strive for.
And how do you deal with the obstacles that arrive in Hollywood? Especially in a town that is driven, and we'll see in Tinseltown Ghost Stories a whole lot of, rich white guys in control of everything. How has it been getting through some of the obstacles you've had to face?
I'm just so grateful for therapy. Therapy. I think that really helps. I think that like a big part of it too is like, the world is changing, thankfully. And so many of those people that were like in power are just no longer. And so many ways of like how things operated in the past just don't. I had a conversation recently with like a session runner. He was just like, God, like 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, like I would have never come in contact with you because I just, I auditioned with all white females and like never anybody of any sort of diversity. And it's just like changed now. And he's like, it's just so great to like get to know you because I wouldn't have, and it's cool to hear that. Like it's nice to get that feedback and it's nice to like connect. I think that like finding the joy and finding the moments, actors as a whole, like I love them so much. And I've been like every actor imaginable, I've been like the really annoying actor, the really like crazy actor that's like, I can do anything. You know what I mean? It's like I've been all those actors. So like I just try and like love on my peeps and just be like, and not let it affect me in such a way. Like I think I used to get like really like, bogged down by so much of like the industry. And I think that I'm just like, that's just like a part of it. And it's not the whole thing, but it's just like a little part of it. And I get to kind of like choose how much it comes in or not.
It's weird as an actor because you are given a whole lot of faux control. And a lot of people are, especially if you're at a certain level or doing something on the project, you're sort of doted upon and given to. But at the same time, you are in the whole process, your word doesn't matter. You're sort of there to just sing,
do the job.
Do the job and move on.
Yeah.
So how do you find other spaces for yourself in this industry?
It's funny. Like I've done like stand up and I've just dabbled in different things. Like I love improv too. Just like things that kind of keep you like fresh and give you another perspective. I think like that's really important as well because like so much is like, I just want to do this one thing. Like I just want to be a series regular on a TV show. It's like, great. Like you can take all those acting classes and do that. But like sometimes it's nice to like take a break from that and just be like, what does it look like over here from this POV? And it's different. I feel like when I did stand up, my comedy, I always wanted to do comedy. Like I still multicam's my fave. And when I did stand up, I was like, oh, I get it now. Like being funny, like comedy, you don't have to like slap it in someone's face. Like you just let the words do a little bit of the work for you or like all of it. And then you don't have to like work so hard. And I felt like I really was able to kind of like have just so many aha moments. And I booked more comedy when I did stand up because I just felt like I wasn't pushing for it so much. I wasn't like trying to grasp it and keep it like just tight and, all those things.
Yeah, when you make something too precious, it can, it can hurt you really bad. Talking a little bit about the films that you've done, I kind of want to get into the Princess Diaries, if you don't mind.
Let's get into it.
I just want to ask right now, is Genovia anything like Hollywood?
It is very much like Hollywood. There's a hierarchy and and if you're trash, you're trash. No, I'm just kidding. No. It was so Princess Diaries was so beautiful. It was such a fun film to make. I mean, Gerry Marshal was a dream.
What was it like working with just a legendary director like
He was
Gerry Marshal?
incredible. And it was unlike any process, like auditioning is so wild. Like the minute you think you know something, like all of a sudden you're just like, oh, I did not know. Oh, wow. Okay. I had no idea. My audition for The Princess Diaries, I auditioned for like her best friend. And then I got a call back, and then then we did like a workshop session, and it was just like Gary and me and another actor, and we were like workshopping it at his theater, the Falcon Theater, because he has I don't know if he still does, but right there next to Bob's Big Boy is his theater, and that's where like auditions and callbacks took place. And he was just amazing. He was so sweet, so like kind, and just like he got that. Like, it was wonderful because like the director like steers the ship, right? So he was really like, oh no, these are kids. Like he was very clear on that, and it was just like such a great thing to be a part of. And I look back at that and I'm like, oh, that was really special. And I don't think you notice it. And I was a kid. I was like 17. So it's like you don't really notice it at the time. You're just kind of like doing the thing. But that was just like the best. It was the best.
And then doing the TV you do now, do you feel like you're a bit more, a little less wide-eyed, a little more clear on what you're doing when you get on set?
Yeah, I think that like, as actors, we think it's all about us. And it's really, really fascinating. Like, in theater, like you have the process, right? Like everybody, you show up to rehearsal, you're not even off book. You're just like, we're just going to read it.
Just going to feel it out.
Yeah, we're just going to feel it out. We're going to get there. And in TV, you like show up memorized, ready to go. Like this is like, if we had a camera, we could basically do it. And maybe that's just like the guest stars and the co-stars and all of that. Like, I don't know what the world is when you become a series regular, but it's definitely like no one's interested in your process. You got to deliver your thing. No one wants to like talk about like how you got there. Like just like do the thing and like let's get out early and like let's go see our families. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a little bit of that.
It's more of a regular job in that sense a little bit. That's normally what happens. You go to work, you talk a little bit, you go home. You know?
Exactly. Everyone's like, I want to get over there. I want to get to my car. So that's kind of nice though, especially now because I so get it. I mean, having a kid gives you that perspective of like, oh, okay, I got to go do this other thing. Like I love this thing and I'm super in this thing right now. But as soon as I'm out, like I'm out, and there's no like thinking more about what happened and stuff like that, which is really like liberating for me.
Do your kids help keep you grounded and centered?
Yeah, I have a daughter, and she is like so hysterical, and she's 4.5. It's like she's so sweet, and I mean, like obviously I'm biased, but there's just like there's so much. They're discovering so much, and they're not like desensitized, and they just think everything's really cool, and that's like so. I love being like present with her, so that's nice.
That's great. It must help you make discoveries on your own. You get to look at a flower like new again because you're seeing it through her eyes. Yeah.
Last night we gave her we did this thing where we get her like Halloween candy, and like we gave her this bottle and it had like all these like ghosts on it, and I hadn't even noticed like all the different ghosts on the bottle, and she was like, did you see this ghost? He has a bag just like mine. And I was like, oh, he does have. So it's just like those little things, right?
She already has the taste, clearly. Yeah. She clearly has good taste.
Yeah.
Well, So moving on from film and TV, I want to talk a little bit about the podcast world, which you and I are currently involved in right now, unless you're watching this on YouTube right now. Hello, YouTube. So a podcast. Let's talk a little bit about it. Tinseltown Ghost Stories. Yeah. Tell me how... I mean, I know the story. I know how you got involved, but tell the folks at home how you got involved with this podcast, what it is and how you got involved with it.
Yeah. Well, you were just so generous. You were like, hey, I have this idea. And I think you'd be great for it. I love your work. I mean, we were fortunate enough to be in class together at the last acting studio. That was a really great time. Yay. Hi, Deshaun. And so I think that like we had gotten to know a little bit about each other in like a professional setting. And you were just like, yeah, I think you can do this thing. And I was like, okay, tell me more. And I feel like we had a conversation. We talked on the phone about it. And you were like, this is what it is. It's about, like all the dark places in Hollywood that like all this crazy stuff has happened and we're going to like, go through it. And then you kind of gave me some references on podcasts and then I listened to them and I was like, oh yeah, let's do that. But let's do it like this. And you're like, yeah. And so yeah, it's just like it's fun to be part of something. Like I love school. So like not to say this is school, but like I loved learning and like I feel like there's so much in this city and we take it for granted, we're just like, whatever. Yeah, this, that. Oh yeah, it's been here since however long. Chinese man, what? And like they're now like cheesy places in some ways, right? Because our culture has changed in the industry and all the things, but it's really like fun to like dive in and like our first episode on the Pantages is just so good.
I'm so excited for people to hear that. What was your experience like?
I mean, I had no idea. I mean, it was so crazy. And there's like, the history on Alexander Pantages and just like where he came from. And I was like, oh my God, he was a gold miner?
Yeah.
Like what?
It's wild, right?
Yeah. And like, I love vaudeville. Like I love Gypsy Rose, the musical. And like, that was my intro into vaudeville. And so like, I'm like, oh my God, vaudeville. Like I just keep thinking of like all the different acts. And that was like a real thing. That's a real place that entertainment was. And so it's just like really cool to kind of like dive into that like old Hollywood. I love old Hollywood.
I'm with you on that. The Art Deco vibe of the early Los Angeles. I wish they were still making buildings in that sense. Enough of these square glass minimalist coffee shops downtown. I want something with like curves and edges to it, Was there anything, were you surprised about the building itself, hearing this history, hearing that there are ghosts inside potentially?
I mean, I've been to the Pantages quite a few times. I've seen so many shows there. I mean, Hamilton was incredible when I saw it. I mean, I saw Miss Saigon. I mean, I've seen so many shows there. And so I didn't get the creep vibes, but then I did. Like the women's bathroom, when you go downstairs, you're like, oh, like the mirrors and just like the Art Deco is just like there was definitely things that happened here and you feel it, but you're kind of like, okay, I'm here for the show. Like, let me get out of this. So that was really fascinating for me because I've just been there and I'm like, oh my God, that's really creepy that these things happen. But theater, there's so much that goes on like behind the curtain that we don't see that's like so exciting. And I love that like backstage life. Like I have so many like great memories of being like, change your outfit and then you go out into it and do another scene. And I love that. So yeah, it was really fascinating. It's like cool to like see all that. I was just like surprised like how many ghosts are still lurking.
At least 3, maybe 5.
Yeah.
There are a lot of ghosts there. And the fact that the guy whose name is on the building is also inside because he did a bad thing that people can listen to your episode and hear about. Has it changed your opinion of Hollywood? Has it sort of informed it better? Where are you with how this story fits into Hollywood?
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, this is unfortunate. I mean, there's bad people everywhere, and it doesn't surprise me. But at the same time, I'm glad that like those people are being brought out of the shadows a little bit more and that spotlight is being cast on like, no, we don't do that. Like there's more people being like just spoken up about it, like speaking up because they don't care about being a celebrity or they don't care what it's going to do. They're going to use their social media. They're going to use their voice to speak out against like any sort of like wrongdoing. And I think that like, it's nice. Like that's where we are now. So it doesn't surprise me. It's just like, yeah.
Kind of how it has always been.
Yeah.
But I think that's why we're making the show. There's a little gap in the podcasting world where focusing specifically on the history of Hollywood and specifically on the ghosts that have been left behind by the tragic things that have happened. I know in the future we're going to talk about Black Dahlia. We're going to talk about the Culver City Studios and Thomas Ince and his murder. There's a lot. And this is the foundational stuff that we're all working in right now. Take notes. Make sure it's coming up. It's coming up. But with this first episode of The Pantages, I think you do a really nice job in both clarifying it informationally, but also making it entertaining. How do you as a voiceover artist, as a host, how do you approach giving what is sensational, scandalous information in a way that we can listen to and relate to?
I think I go back to like that thinking of like if it were to happen to somebody close to me. Like, and just relaying that information to like my loved one, like imagining like them hearing this for the first time, like this is what happened. This is like the crappy part of the reality that happened and I have to tell it to you. So coming from like that point of view and Morgan, our director, was so great. She was like, let's like talk about how we feel about this part, you know? And I think like that's really helpful too, to just know, because sometimes we get like in a vacuum, you know, we're just like, I am presenting this story to you. And it's like, no, like you're talking to human beings. Like people are listening to this and they're listening to it, you know, while they're cooking or while they're driving or whatever on their walk, you know? And so you want to give that entertainment, but also like be very gentle with the information that we're giving, because it's a real life story. Like it's not, no one has made up this information. Mm-hmm. So it can be a little harsh.
Well, I'll tell you, that is exactly why you are the host of this show, because your voice plus your approach, it is perfect. And I'm very excited for people to listen to it and hear you and hopefully learn and grow from the work that we're going to be doing, because there's a lot of fun episodes coming up.
Yes. And there's just so much to know that like we don't know. Mm. We just don't, like the Pantages Theater, I mean, we don't, and no one hears about it anymore. Like that time has gone, you know? So people are like, yeah, let's move on. Like, let's bring in cabaret. Okay. You know what I mean? It's like, no. We need to know the reality of this thing. We do need to know. We need to learn from our history and our past. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for coming in, Bianca. And I'm so excited for people to listen to it. Oh my God. Again, the show is Tinseltown Ghost Stories. The host is Bianca Lopez. Hey. She is an absolutely divine host, and you are going to get a whole lot out of listening to this show or watching it. Yes. Bianca. Yeah. So we do a little thing here called Stupid Fucking Questions for Smart Fucking People. So we're going to take a little break, and then you cool if I ask you some dumb questions? Yes, please. Okay. Only dumb questions. Only. That's it from now on. We'll be right back with Bianca Lopez and Stupid Fucking Questions for Smart Fucking People. Bye.
As a filmmaker, I'm fascinated by the endless ways to tell a story in pictures, and I find my inspiration in films by great directors. Whether you're just a casual film fan or a full-fledged filmmaker yourself, the Director Series podcast will deepen your love of cinema with in-depth breakdowns of your favorite films and directors. Each month brings together a collection of films from an influential filmmaker or film movement, and explores the overlapping themes and ideas that tie them together in a bid to inspire the next generation of storytellers. Look for the Director Series podcast on your favorite podcatcher, or go to patreon.com/podfrontier to learn more.
And we are back with Stupid Fucking Questions for Smart Fucking People. Okay. All right, Bianca. Do you believe in ghosts? Yes. Great. Who's your favorite ghost? I'd say Casper the Friendly Ghost. Yeah. I really like him. Casper's pretty great. He's pretty great. Which Muppet do you most identify with? Kermit. Kermit? Yeah. Why Kermit? He was just like, he was kind of like really skinny. I was really skinny as a child. And like, he was kind of like just me. He was like a mirror reflection of me. Yeah. Also the leader of the Muppets, clearly getting people to do leadership. Yeah. Leadership. And never appreciated for it either. And I was called Bossy my whole life. So there you go. So we're solving some mysteries on Tinseltown Ghost Stories. What famous mystery do you want to solve? Oh, gosh. How Harvey Weinstein got into power. I mean, I just would like to really go into that mystery. That is a mystery. How? Yeah, and you know what? We'll get somebody. How? In that note, we can have AI play him. That's okay. Great. We'll do Wonderful. That. Perfect. Do you have a favorite song from high school you still listen to? Oh, my God. You Ought to Know. Alanis Morissette. Of course. It's the best. But why did I know every lyric as a 10-year-old? Like yes, I mean, I've heard, it probably came out when I was like 11, but I just heard it for the rest of my life. A lot of romantic angst at 10, you know? Yeah, so much. Do you think there's a tragic historical figure that deserves a second chance? Oh my God. Whoa, this is... It's a deep, stupid question. I mean, George Washington, I just want to say, like, he had teeth that were made out of wood, you guys. Like, I just feel like he was alarming. I mean, can you imagine somebody, you know? I think we need to give him just a second little look around. A glow up. Yeah. A GW glow up. Something else. Something else. Love that. Just a little. If you were stuck on a desert island, what book would you have with you? Oh, gosh. Anything by Michael A. Singer. Yeah. All right. Yeah. A little untethered soulish, you know, Cliff Notes. Something to just be like, yeah, it's fine. This island and you are one and you're going to be great. You know, something like that. That's a great something answer. Like good. You get to put in the lunch order today. What are we having? Oh my gosh. We're having Saffy's. We're having lamb brisket pita sandwiches.
with a tea. It has a certain melon sugar in it. It's very good.
I don't know what it is, but it's going to be an education
good.
for me when I have it
It's
because
very
that
good.
sounds phenomenal.
It's very good.
It's date night. Where are you going with your date?
I've been really into the movies. I want to just go into a dark room just to watch a show. I want to be
Remember
entertained.
those days?
Remember that?
Remember when you could do that?
Yeah, but I'm going to cover my whole body so like none of my body touches the seat, That's sort of the thing. Feels good.
A little movie theater for introverts.
Yeah.
What's your movie theater snack of choice?
Popcorn always. Just
No,
popcorn.
Straight up popcorn. Butter?
Yeah.
No butter?
No butter. Because then it's wet.
Yeah, it is.
Like, why?
And it's only ever going to touch the top anyway.
I never understood that. There's butter in the popcorn, you guys. It got cooked in there. It's in. We need no more. More butter? I mean, it's buttered popcorn.
That's a good point. There's already butter in there.
There's butter.
Never once thought of that in my 41 years.
There's butter in there.
Finally, if you could wake up tomorrow in a city that wasn't Los Angeles, which one would it be?
Portugal. I just want to go, but it's tapped out. It's not the place to go to anymore.
Yeah, most of my American friends are going there now.
Yeah, no. Lisbon, forget about it. Yeah, but yeah, let's check it out. I want to see what the hype is.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, Bianca, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Really love talking to you. I'm so excited also because we get to work for a long time because we're making a really incredible podcast. And when people finally listen to it,
yeah,
they're going to get a real good sense.
Listen now.
So listen to Bianca because she said so and because she's awesome. Well, thank you so much for watching and listening. You can catch us on @MYS Podcast on Instagram. We're also on Twitter. And then Bianca, where can people find you?
Bianca P. Lopez at Instagram and biancalopez.net on the interwebs.
Go find Bianca and then tune in to Tinseltown Ghost Stories.
Yay!
Thanks, Bianca.
Thank you.
Thanks again for listening. I hope you got a little creative inspiration to carry you through your next great challenge. Until next time, I'm your host, Kyle F. Andrews. Make Your Shit is produced by Kyle F. Andrews and Cameron Bile, and co-produced by Emily Castro. Our production supervisor is Morgan Rudder, edited by Zach Morrison. Audio engineering and sound mixing by David Iskandarian at JTB Studios in Atwater Village. Make Your Shit is part of the Pod Frontier Podcast Network, a Film Frontier Studios audio project. For more information, please go to www.filmfrontierstudios.com. I'll be back in 2 weeks for another interview. Until then, get out there and make your shit.
You think you know about Hollywood's golden age of movie making, but what about the ghosts lurking just off screen? I'm Bianca Lopez, and I'd like to tell you a ghost story. With our new podcast, Tinseltown Ghost Stories, you'll be learning about the people who built Los Angeles, the scandals that rocked the industry, and the broken dreams that still echo on the boulevard. Hollywood is more comfortable when its secrets stay hidden in the shadows. On Tinseltown Ghost Stories, we listen to what the dead have to say, because the darkness is so much less scary when you shine a little light on it.